Hey guys, it's Bro You Whack, and just sit down for a second, alright? We're gonna have a father-son chat, mano-a-mano, one-on-one, and I wanna burst your bubble a little bit, but I have to be honest with you, you're not as good at DPS as you probably think. Your Genji is not as amazing as you probably think. Your Soldier 76 aim is whack, and your Doomfist is not as spectacular as you probably want to be. And you might be thinking, blasphemy, Bro You Whack, I am the greatest. You just suck. In fact, you really do suck, and okay, this isn't about me, alright? It's about you. All jokes aside, though, this isn't going to be a video where I just tell you that you suck at DPS, you need to switch, and you can't play DPS. No, because that's not helping anybody. However, this is going to be a video where I just take the DPS role, a very popular role where we all think we're gods, and I just tell you how you can just improve and just possibly just look at yourself and decide, okay, I'm the problem, I'm the reason why we're not getting the point. Because, again, you shouldn't look for who to blame, who to point fingers to, because that's not a healthy way to try to win the game in Overwatch. You're with a bunch of teammates, granted they are a bunch of randoms, and if you just start automatically blaming someone else, or even if you are a tank player or a support main and you're blaming the DPS, maybe you can even take away something from this video. Now, I don't really say this a lot because I like to try to give the idea that every single role is important, but I always say the DPS role is kind of like the X factor when making a team comp, because they're the main people that are going to be getting kills. Whenever it comes to tanks, yeah, there are some greedy tanks, but more or less they're going to be protecting the team. Support obviously healing everybody, and then DPS role obviously getting damage off per second, but I wish they would just name it to EPS, eliminations per second, because literally anybody could be getting damage, but it's the person that's going to be able to secure kills. And I always say the best way to just win games is to get kills. Yes, there are going to be times where getting kills isn't the main priority, but if you get 3 kills and if one person like a soldier or a tracer is able to secure those 3 kills, then no reason why you can't move forward, capture the point on New Bonnie, capture the point on a control map, whatever the case may be. Now, I explain all of that just so that you remember going into your next competitive match, when you're going to pick the DPS slot, that's the message that you're sending your teammates. Hey, I'm able to secure the kills. But now it gets in the video where I explain, maybe you are the problem if you play DPS. Maybe you need to look at someone else and give them the role so that you can play support, so that you can play tank, and figure that out very quickly, because if you decide later on at like 1 minute left in the match, it's kind of a done deal. Like, you kind of already solidified the L for you guys. Now, a lot of people will say, oh, well, clearly if I have gold damage and gold limbs, that I'm not the problem, that I don't need a switch. Yeah, but is gold limbs and gold damage at 2? Do you have 4 DPS, and are you being stubborn and not willing to switch when you clearly know how to play another anchor tank or possibly another support? You know, this is competitive. If you wanted to play what you want to play, and I made a video talking about this yesterday, talking about, you know, being a flex hero, but if you truly wanted to play what you want to play and not care what the team thinks, then you can play in quick play. But here in competitive, somebody has to play DPS, and you could be that person. Sometimes, yes, the 4 DPS meta or the triple DPS meta surprisingly sometimes can work, as long as you have a support and a tank. However, if that team isn't you, if you're not able to run that and be able to prosper and win the game, then it's time to make some switches. And I made a video yesterday talking about the mindset of being a flex player, and if you haven't watched that video, go watch it, because you need to adopt that mindset that, okay, I'm gonna be the first one to make that switch. Even if you're a stubborn Genji player, a stubborn Tracer player, or heck, even if you're the tank player and you're wanting someone to switch off the DPS, don't yell at them, rather just negotiate with them and just explain why they should be able to or why they should switch at the time. Well, what are those cases that they need to switch to? Well, the first and obvious one, and it's very, very subjective, but if the DPS players do not have the gold medals. Now, again, I said they're subjective because a D.Va could have the medals, a Roadhog, or even a Zenyatta if he's very accurate, but it's those DPS players that should be able to have those gold medals and continue moving forward. If you're like at bronze or even silver even, and you're stuck and you can't move the payload on Route 66 or capture the point, then that's the clear indication that you need to look and just negotiate with the team. And it's like, okay guys, I'm not doing my job. If anybody else knows how to play a different DPS player, then be willing to do that. Because if you're playing Genji and they have a Symmetra, a Zarya, and a Winston, why would you tell someone else to switch on to Genji? It's still not going to work because they countered the Genji pick, rather than have someone else play their strength. The second tip that I can give you that the DPS needs to switch is when he's the first to die. Now, this really isn't as subjective as like the medals, but really, if the DPS is going to be the first to die, then who is going to get the kills? Really, who is going to get the heavy damage? Remember, it's DPS, damage per second. Someone like Winston, someone like Reinhardt, yeah, they can give off damage over time, but in a short period of time, you're not going to be able to capture the point on Temple of Anubis. I'm just trying to create as much scenarios and remind you guys that DPS is very important. If you're constantly dying first, and you can blame the healers, you can blame the tanks, but also look at your positioning, also look at who you're challenging as Tracer. Just look at what you're doing and realize, wow, I'm the first to die. No wonder we're not getting this point because we're not getting the kills. Now, the third time when the DPS needs to switch to something else, it could be a tank support or even another DPS hero, is when he's constantly dying by his counter. You know, Overwatch is sort of like a chess game. There's pieces that obviously counter the other pieces, but sometimes it can work. However, if we take that same Genji example, if there's a Winston on the enemy team and he dies maybe just a couple of times at first, that might not necessarily be the player's fault, but it's over time. If he's clearly getting killed by the Winston over and over and over and over again, it's up to the player to decide, okay, I need to not try to work around what's on the enemy team rather than just exploit what is on the enemy team. So again, if you're someone on your team that's just constantly dying by their counter, like if the Genji's on your team and they're constantly getting killed by their counter, maybe you should just, hey, do you know how to play Reaper? Or hey, I can even play Reaper if anyone wants to switch on to tank or support. You know, it's just working with that team and realizing that the strength is there. There's just a big roadblock in the way from that strength being able to be prospered. The fourth time that the DPS needs to switch to someone is when the ultimate is wasted, like more than once. This could even be applied for Symmetra. Symmetra is one of those heroes that if you're not utilizing, like if the teleporter or shield gen is constantly being destroyed, she's useless. That's the only thing that she's really good at. Yeah, she has a lock-on ability that's able to just charge up really quick if she's not being focused, but that's only good against bad players. And if you're facing against bad players, more than likely, if you're losing to those bad players, spoiler alert, you're probably also bad players too. But either way, if you're able to go with like a Symmetra or something, we're going to use Symmetra for this example. If you use like that teleporter and it's constantly getting destroyed, you might as well be playing something else that's able to counter what's on the enemy team. Because Symmetra really doesn't counter a lot of heroes other than just like a Genji, because, well, her thing doesn't get deflected and she's able to lock onto that jumpy boy, you know, but there's going to be other answers to a team fight, and ultimates are the biggest answer to it. And if that ultimate isn't being utilized, whether it is a Symmetra teleporter, a Dragon Blade, or a Reaper ultimate, and it just constantly gets countered, well, maybe you either need to switch onto a different DPS hero, or let someone else play DPS that knows how to use their ultimate properly. And the fifth time that the DPS needs to switch onto something else is when you're slightly winning, but you're not making a big difference. The reason why DPS, like the biggest reason why DPS is so important, is because of the ultimates. When you have a Zarya ult, when you have a Reinhardt ult, yeah, it's good, but you have to have follow-up. What do you follow up with? Usually with a DPS ultimate, a Soldier ult, a Genji ult, a Reaper ult, stuff that can just make a difference right now rather than just doing it over time. Especially on true escort maps like Route 66, Junkertown, or Dorado, where you have multiple fights take place, and if you lose a fight, you're going to be at a big disadvantage because you don't have spawn advantage. You need to win that fight right now. And the awesome thing about DPS ultimates is that they generate pretty quickly. A Dragon Blade or Doomfist ultimate, they all generate quick. So if you're not able to get that ultimate and make that big difference right away, oh, homie, that is another time that is so like underappreciated and just overlooked that people don't think about it, you know? And a lot of people think that ultimates aren't everything. Yeah, but when it comes to DPS, ultimates are kind of everything. Like, yes, throughout the whole entire game, accuracy and being able just to flank around matters, but once you get that ultimate, it is go time, and that is the big difference maker. If you can't make that big difference, if you can't at least secure like 2 kills, Junkrat, that's a time that 1 kill is still a good time, then homie, let someone else take over the DPS role, or maybe just switch it up, because maybe the fourth or what was it, the fourth reason where you get countered easily, maybe that's the time that you need to switch. Remember, ultimates and kills is what DPS is all about. If you're not able to secure that, or able to promise your team, yeah, I insta-lock the DPS, yeah, I can get it, then you need to work with a team. People like to be stubborn and people like to blame their teammates for what they're not doing also. Well, what are you doing? Because if you have the golds, if you're getting the kills, if you're using your ultimates and still getting kills and you're still not winning, then why are you complaining? Because you're doing everything. You're doing everything that you could be doing. Just remember that when you insta-lock the DPS next time. Someone has to play it. You're allowed to play it, but also don't lock away other potential from other players that know how to also play DPS, like the soldiers or the tracers, just because you want to play Genji, just because you want to play Pharah. Just remember everything that I said in this video, because yes, sometimes it is subjective, but it's also called being a team player, not being selfish, just because, no, I want to play what I want to play, screw the team, I'm going competitive, and I'm going to do what I want to do. Well, there's always quick play for that kind of attitude. So I love you guys. Thank you guys for watching. This was an interesting tip video because nobody likes to be told that they suck. But I'm not saying that you suck, but I'm saying you have to work with the team and realize there's other DPS players out there. So I love you guys. Thank you guys for watching. More Overwatch videos to come, and bye.